here. Jim?
Probably like 2 or 3 minutes, but otherwise.
Yeah, we can, yeah. So I'll just kick it off. Thanks everyone again for coming. Hopefully it's just me on Zoom, so hopefully, it's picking it up. But here we are doing a hybrid model. So it's posted on the planning board's website. So, after the meeting, so the plan couldn't be there. So if you let them know. I think last meeting was really a productive meeting with yes, hey Ezra. Oh no, I'm sorry. First floor, but I don't really say these, but should I? Thanks so much for coming. So if you come next time and we are meeting in person,
Yeah.
this is what it would probably look like.
Okay.
So you could see.
It would be a bald spot.
There would be well, you'll probably be turned because we'll share stuff on my screen. So, so this meeting, we're really hoping. Does anyone have any follow-up questions about what we discussed last time? Or any thoughts? Say the last initial thoughts. So Ezra and I and Jen spoke on Friday, and I think the takeaways that I included in my email reminder today is really what density looks like for this group. Maybe like whether that's one district be one sort of density and another district with another type of density, and also what area should be concentrated on. I included it in this agenda, which I'll post online as well. So I don't know, since this is going to be recorded, should we just go around real quick? Do you think?
Yeah, I think we should do that again.
So Aaron Kopinda with the town of Wakefield, community economic development director.
And so when Mass Housing Partnership working for the town. Jim Hogan, planning board as well.
Julie Smith Galvin, town council.
And then missing is not resident, representing the residents, but he's unfortunately.
I know that is very much available. Last Wednesday, and we talked for like 45 minutes about what we discussed at a meeting, got up to speed, and so I think we'll be in good shape moving forward, and I'll be the same. I did put together I know I sent that on the agenda, the agenda that went out to the public. Minutes, I don't know if I've had a quick second to look at it. I should have here, but really, I don't know if it's the first, second, official, I don't know. I sent them last Thursday, I believe. That's okay. I thought I did. Did you guys get that?
I know.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I think basically if we're being a work group, I think that probably makes sense that. We're going to accept the minutes, stuff, just good policy, but good practice.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
That's funny for our next meeting. April 4th meeting. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Jim.
So I think, the big thing we talked about last meeting, kind of setting the stage, all the different requirements that are laid out by the state, MBTA, and kind of some, high level introductory, what we have, zoning, and options that we, going forward, kind of an introductory, no decision making. So at this stage, we're looking to start talking at a high level, what's density, and then where are some of the locations that we should start providing direction to Karen as we start looking at in terms of drawing up maps. Again, I think for we're looking for this group is high level direction. We want to concentrate around this area and that area. Then it would be that Aaron and Ezra would come back to us with a proposed map, with some of those example, that we looked at last time when we drew the kind of dumb circle. So does this meet threshold? Does it not meet threshold? And then we kind of figure out what we do or don't want to do adjustments. So I think that last time we talked, we kind of talked high level where some of the locations we're looking at. So if we look at the map right here, we really talked about, obviously we've got two options. We've got an option around Wakefield Junction, which yeah.
So right there.
I know, right? Exactly. So somewhere around here or Greenwood, which again is somewhere down this.
Yeah, it's near the right on the distance.
Oh,
right
yeah,
there, yeah.
that's, yeah. So, yeah,
Each of the locations.
yeah. Here-ish.
Yeah, I have it, yeah.
And then we also kind of discussed where, to Matt's astute observation, that there's some coverage that we could potentially take advantage of, that count towards the minimums for the Melrose station located in Melrose on the south side of the town. So I think what I'd be interested in kind of talking about from a very quick level is, does it make sense that we want to concentrate around Wakefield Junction, Greenwood, or kind of this kind of Greenwood extended area? And then based on where we think makes a lot of sense, as we're having that conversation, the other thing I want people to think about is, does it make sense? We looked at the model last time, there's some key differences. We have 4 stories, 3 stories, so those parking things, which I don't necessarily think we should get into for right now, based on the visual. But it's kind of, what does it feel like? And I think that we had some of those, and if you're over here, do you have the backups in terms of the visuals before we get into the group discussion? I just want to kind of look at what does some of these different decisions that we made maybe correspond from a physical perspective. So, we talked about where this, the building that was shown right there on Chestnut Street, that's 3 stories, right? And that's the shade over the minimum from the state. As a reminder that for those who all 15 units an acre is the minimum density that we need to achieve in order to meet the compliance models from the state. This is 18, a little under 19 units an acre. Again, 3 units, 3 stories, approximately a floor, unit of floor. And then Aaron, if you go back into the sort of materials farther back in the presentation, there's some other kind of precedent examples that we can talk about in terms of what does that actually look
Oh,
like.
at the end of the presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this was, I can't remember if you know the first one, the slide. So this is, about 12 units an acre, 2 stories, so it's 2 bedrooms a unit. They're a little more tightly compacted, if I recall. And then from a site plan perspective, a series of parking lots with townhouses all adjacent. Precedent photos. And then this is Brookside Square, which this one, we're looking at 3 units, 3 stories. This is very similar to the class project we looked at in terms of density, but you can see the way they achieve that is by denser building with a lot more open space for parking. Site.
This is it right here.
My guess based on some of the choices we make in terms of the maximum lot sizes and such for the other policy perspectives that as we were mentioning, this is not where the vision of the group is, then I think there are ways that we can address that. But and again, the way that they're getting the density to be so low is that they've got to take site
Mhm.
a small footprint of the building. I think those are the main.
Yeah, those were the big ones.
So obviously that's 3 stories, the other one was 2 stories. There's some other ones that we can pull up. Those are kind of some of the precedents. So with that being said, just to set the table, I'd be interested in moving up the group. If people have thoughts in terms of 4 stories, more appropriate, 2 stories, Wakefield Junction, Greenwood, that kind of extended corridor along Main Street down to Melrose. Now, where are some of the places that would be interested in kind of exploring in terms of trying to get some more potential spots?
So,
You have multiple sites. Think that's the case. As long as they meet the minimum.
The Some percentage needs to be maintenance. Train station, you can't have a train that stops. But it doesn't.
But one, even if it's at two, one could be.
Yeah. There is a lot of. I think at some point. Why this, that, have to be more different.
And then the other thing, depending on what we make as a series of choices, theoretically, if you could have one that would be satisfactory to the state by itself, and then
Mhm.
another one, and that doesn't really matter, you do whatever you want with, that's also a policy
That's
choice.
the only place to make it. One other thing, just that, remember that you can, as with any kind of zoning, you can, are you to allow multifamily by right? At least three family. Whatever you want to say, right? By right, but you can still set the minimum lot size. So, if you said, for example, 1,000 square feet or 6,000, you don't need to worry about cramming three family or four family. You kind of, right? Basically, you create an overlay that really, in effect, there would be holes in that overlay because we have a lot of lots. That didn't work. If there are too many of them, the model is not going to be right. But if you're some big lots and small lots, that's one thing.
And generally, just as a reminder for the way that the zoning is, so right now, the base zoning calls for, depending on here, the general or single residence. Single is probably better than 12,000 square feet. And then general is 8,000 square foot in lots. Our mixed use overlay is 4,000. That's kind of where we stand right now.
Okay, three family. Bigger lots. Then you really got.
And what we just looked at was, I think I recall, I think it's like shade number 7. That's what we.
I think it was easy.
That's
Just a minute. What was that? Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Rest of it,
you were right. Single is 12, general is 8. So if you're looking at the map, kind of what you're looking at. And then 4,000 for the,
But that's a good example. But 3 units on 7,000 square feet. Sales over. They're not looking for. It's
gentle density is the way
Yeah.
I describe it.
I mean, because I think in some communities they. But a three family on 7,000 square feet. It's not Dorchester. It's. Neighborhood. Nothing like Dorchester. Not Wakefield.
so something else, I don't know if anyone had a chance, I know Ezra played around with it, I did as well, is the residency through MHP they put together to look at the districts and kind of what we're already, I'm gonna share my screen, what we already have currently in the districts that Ezra put together last week. So the whole half mile from Wakefield station, as well as a quarter mile from Wakefield station. So right now I have pulled up District 1, which is that half mile. And Ezra, please let me know if I did this wrong, if this looks right. But right now we're at 6.23 units per acre with what we currently have. 501 acres, 3,124 units. So this is currently what this area we have now. And this gives you a good breakdown. And this is all pretty accurate, right? They get it from the assessor's office and
That's
yeah.
the big circle you're saying?
yep, the big one. Sorry, they don't do different colors.
And to be clear, this is built.
So this is already built. Yeah, this is what we have. Yeah. So here it has the breakdown of condos, single family, 2-family, apartments over 8 units, 3-family, which I thought there was more, but I guess, we don't allow that very. The mixed use, apartments 4 to 8. So that's currently what we're looking at. So we're kind of far off from that 15 units, but
But that's the larger circle,
the larger. So yes,
which I suspect might even be.
Open space, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have the Galvin within that, the Molten Park, the school, Galvin, yep. Some town buildings. So then, District 2 for Greenwood is the big circle again. The half-mile radius, you'll see here, it's 2.89 units per acre. A lot of more single families, less condos, the 2-family apartments over 8.
But again, you can see I think you're catching some of the Greenwood School and some other, was it Crystal Lake?
Yep, right here, yep.
Yeah, so you've definitely got some carve-outs.
And then just real quick, since these go along with the districts we talked about last week, this is District 3 going back to Wakefield Station. Sorry, I should have done it all together, but District 3, this is the quarter mile. So you'll see we're at 11.26 units per acre, 125 acres, which is over what we need, way over what we need, 1,400 units. So a little shy of what, 1,696, but not far. So you see the units per acre goes up, and condos, apartments over 8, 2-family, the single family goes down. And then I just thought this tool I thought was really fun. Gives you a snapshot of where we're at. And then District 4 is Greenwood, and this is a quarter mile again, 3.6 units per acre, 125 acres and 452 units. So that's currently where we're at. I thought that was just some good background information. And that's as much as I got to play around with it, Ezra.
Can we try one quick thing?
Yeah, go ahead, come up here.
I mean, one, and I don't know if you played around with this at all, but if we go back up to, when you had was District 2, no,
District 2.
let's go 3, sorry. 3 is the smaller one up there.
Yeah, the Wakefield.
Yeah, so here, this district was getting pretty close. Where's the breakdown is, that was 11, a little over 11. But you can see it's catching a lot of the commercial down the middle. But what's really cool here is you can do this thing where you draw your own polygon. So we could essentially, like, see this fairly dense area over here. Like this is a neighborhood you could easily go out and walk around and see. But we could probably say, well, what does that look like? This is sort of rough, but if we said,
Just want to bring it all the way to Main Street.
what's that?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I mean, just like something like that. Call that District 5. Takes a sec to figure it out. So you can, I mean, again, it's a little crude, but that's getting really pretty close. And again, so it's got 13.78. That's what's there. But again, like if this were, look at, like that's a 1-family house on a real big lot, right? And these are 2 families on really big lots. If that little district would allow 3 families on any of those, which would be no bigger than these ones are, it would sail over the 15 per acre, right? So you can kind of get a sense of like, oh, that's, there's an existing bunch of parcels with existing buildings on them. Some are 1s that could be 3s, some are 2s that could be 3s. That would basically do it.
And just to reframe it, right? But what we're talking about for the 3A compliance is has to not dictate
Correct.
by the state that thou shalt build up to the 15 acres. So something of this, a neighborhood like this, very likely that just naturally get into the zone. It could be something very close to this parcel, even if you took exactly out the state requirements and zoned it that way, because it's not like everyone's going to be tear down everything, subdivide all their land and rebuild.
No, I mean, it might allow the possibility. I think the state's willing to, number one, say, well, partially that's because we already have this density, so they're willing to get someone off their back. And secondly, along with the rezoning, if there's a really big 1-family there, it could in theory become a 2-family or 3-family by right. And that is something the zoning board and the planning board would be comfortable with. I think if it were simply the building there, the building's already there. If you're worried about expansions or tear downs, you still do have your setbacks, your open space requirements, all that. Which once 3 blocks are
7,000, 8,000 square feet, there's room in that. For a lot.
See a lot of the projects that come.
And they're coming stabilized.
Yeah, even some just to.
I know I looked at my neighbor, my house, on that 5,000 square foot lot. I don't think it's any different way than most of my neighbors. You have to be up and down the whole thing. So there's a lot, I think there's a lot of existing down the whole lot. Minimum lot size, just kind of general.
And in some ways that just creates. Having.
So changing this. Right.
That's probably.
So it's not like necessarily. Down.
I mean, you would, just in full disclosure, you would also have to allow it. Or down.
You said earlier subdivide lane. That's how do you know?
Theoretically,
Two lots and four.
If they're within the.
if you had, so say for example, just throw some numbers around, big round numbers. If someone had 10,000 square foot lot, we came in and we said minimum lot size is 5,000 square feet. They could theoretically take their land, probably do approval not required, as long as they met all the other requirements, which is some of the reason planning for not to approve requirements. Split their lot into demolish the house that sits there and then build 2 new spaces. So that's if they have enough land and they meet the other requirements of the subdivision rules. Which, probably people just their lands. There's a lot, not a lot that they have to do. Frontage and stuff. We can't have all this symmetric lot, but in general, they do have the right to do that.
They need to link these pipelines. Something that. Not perform now. We're gonna go something.
Yeah, because you were to assemble multiple lots next to each other.
And I did just check on the GIS, and lots of it was saying, but I think those are probably. Some small size. Probably someplace. Feel like those neighborhoods, which are currently at 1 and 2 family, those workers. You know, or at least for that density. I think what the mayor, it did seem like the Greenwood area is a different kind of beast there, because what you have there is slightly larger lots and significant less density right now. So you really, looking at the Greenwood area, you can be saying, can that be sort of raised up to that 3 family that you're seeing? And the centralization and base. Whereas if you did it over here, we want to validate it. You know? And then the third approach we haven't talked about is a different way of saying, oh, actually, no, let's forget about the 5,000, 7,000, 8,000 square foot lots. Let's look at the 15, 20,000 square foot lots where there's potential for transformative industrial parcel.
Yeah. I don't know why. You do it.
Oh, weird.
I will say this, you know, just from what I think I've internalized my capital planning report similar to what's existing around Wakefield Junction in between Main and North, rather than trying to have some sort of allowance for a transformative development. I think that those transformative developments, doing it by right, I think where people would be very upset. Doing that matter. So I'd advocate for something up in the 3-4 story range, minimum lot size. It's probably materially consistent with what we have for the overlay district, and kind of maybe so it's kind of a more gentle transition, I would say.
And if someone wanted to go and see a transformative, they would, that's what you said, and get that special permit.
I think that is, this is not finding where you are, but the house is finding where you live by right. Well, where you- and I think that's- You can certainly make setbacks, the frontage, the open space, the various requirements to make sure it's okay. It's a lot harder to do that with a 20 and a 30 and a 40 and thing. Now we're convinced it's gonna fit.
Also, I think that for the larger developments, I think it would be right with you guys in a group set of controls to make sure that it would be built appropriately. To set it to
It's still site plan review, so one of the things about, we can or should we have, have it,
And in
so
fact, you could even have it smaller.
smaller developments, And is that something maybe you put a threshold onto, like over a certain number of units, it should go to site plan review, I think the typical.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe you might want to say if it's a conversion of existing dwelling, with no changeover sort of percentage.
Yeah.
It doesn't need site plan review.
Yeah.
If it's a brand new development, I think that's something to ask someone, build a brand new three-family. Site plan review doesn't have to be great. Probably going to be independent of the name, one of them, how you treat the system.
screening.
Yeah. I would expect that they're building a brand new building. They can take this unmeasured plans, kind of like it. You get the kind of thing when it's like, oh, it's already maybe in the past it was 3 family, they got turned back into 2, who knows if this is legal or not. Sometimes those are just one.
So with that being said, I think for Ezra and I, the big thing is what this density is going to look like. I don't know, people are along the lines of what Jim is saying. Sorry, I'm just talking louder to make sure it's picking us up. Along the lines of what Jim's saying, where we keep this 3-4 family by right, and then maybe over that we have this whole special permit process and see if Ezra and I can play around with these certain districts. Or if people had other ideas too, if we allow 4 or 5 stories in certain areas. So that's one, and then 2, what areas should we be concentrating on? It can be, I have these different colored plans here, we can draw, where do you want these districts? Are we just looking at a radius, kind of like we have with our mixed use overlay, or is there certain areas that we do here with our different zoning that we kind of want to do for this as well? So those are the 2 questions and answers I think we would really like to see tonight.
I have. Thinking.
Yep.
Yes, I want to have this zone,
So it wants to be walkable.
but then you can't get to the station, so it's in a really.
So I totally get where you're coming from. We actually just had a final meeting with an agency for our bike ped plan, so Bill and Illinois on Friday, and so we are actually going working groups and that more public meeting, but we do concentrate looking at sidewalk, and we've done a whole sidewalk inventory, like sidewalks as well as these connections from the Melrose area, north, south, east, west, Either that be, sidewalk connections, we share a bike lane, share these paths as well. And so they're coming, but I understand, right now what it looks like, I can see where they're coming from.
I mean, we really being fair by saying we've got three family. It's supposed to be. Connected to the
Yeah.
I was really surprised when a lot of these areas. See it yet.
Or something.
Yeah.
Were there specific streets? If you drove around it, really
These
stood
are-
out to you?
Each side of the tracks.
Okay.
Basically, Greenwood, Melrose, all the way up to. That's got a sidewalk there.
Yeah, which I know we will be working on getting the sidewalk, especially when you're crossing over the tracks in that area. Crossing from Greenwood Street over to get on to Main, that
Yeah.
little area there. That's called out in our plan to get through. Activity, said that the five stop, the five. It's right where, on the other side of, okay, yeah, but they're working on that area too. Yeah, but the area when you're coming from Greenwood Street, like say you're coming from Melrose, Greenwood Street, across over the train tracks, that area there, I know they've done some improvements there, but that connection between on Greenwood Street onto Main Street, yeah. Which I know that is. So it's definitely something we're working on together, and I brought up MBTA communities that are meeting on Friday as well. We're looking to map these areas, but we want to make sure people can get to these transit stations and bus stations.
So I just don't know if it's really fair for us to do.
So, yeah, so
Or. At some point. I was even looking at the southern portion. Melrose Station.
on Main Street or on I know we could put like Black Lake and all that area. I know it's hard. So this is Main Street already.
Yeah. So it tracks right here. So.
That's right.
That is
Right.
right. Okay, you said there.
And there's sidewalks on the right side going towards Melrose.
Yeah, but once you get into the roads.
Yeah, it's probably coming down that big hill or
Yeah.
Shipment, and it's don't have.
I think for the sake of this meeting, we could call out that area and then I can go back to our pet plan and, look at these different streets and I can give you an update next time of what's planned to be done, if that would be, with everyone.
Does it make sense? We want to take, like, just that blue pen maybe?
Yep.
And just, we want to highlight like areas you want to know more about from an infrastructure perspective, and to say like the blue pen can be follow up.
Yep.
Before that. You know what I mean? That,
Yeah.
that might be a good way, we don't have to decide anything right now, but we want to get more information for next time.
Okay.
We've got all this section here.
At Myrtle.
Yeah.
Are you talking about on the,
So, sorry.
the little tip of stone?
That's the same thing. Take it.
Make it that much
Brand new.
more-
There you go.
Are you talking about on the west side of the tracks?
Yeah.
Okay. Just my own edification, which we're.
So. Over here along the tracks. Some good size. This is what you can see. Looking across the tracks. There's some good sized lots in there. But getting from those sidewalks along here. Station.
It seems like at some point, someone had a thought that there was a difference between this.
Yeah.
And I think the same was her thought down here. It's clear that here you contemplated Jonathan's thoughts were. But seamless, swan, right? So like, there was a big difference between this large area here that's a real tight area. And it wasn't, it sounds like parts of it were that.
Or the other thought is, does it make sense if you've got a station, right about there? You're only really trying to increase the density on one side. You still have these connection points, but it makes it make this a
Kind of
higher
extend it
density
to
to
the other
extend it to the other
Or
side.
is it almost like?
Let's
doesn't
take
get-
Bill.
Yeah, part of the issue is you get a little area, so.
Yeah, and that's what you before. Right?
I think it's this, I think it's like that here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, up in there. and this one.
Yeah.
Whereas this is the almost.
Well, there's this one right here.
Where is it? Like these lots all front right on the road.
And they also overlook the lake. Right, that's why they're all kind of narrow.
Yeah, but they're big, they're like 16, 17. Yeah, here, they don't.
Is that Myrtle you highlighted?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is part of our Mystic Pilot Freeway that we're working on. It's part of the larger regional connection between the north and south. And I know for a fact we pull off our lab one, it's actually to one that connections with like the walkers to use, so that
I
definitely.
think it's wide enough to put stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that, I think it's part of the discussion of us, and I think it's pulled out in one of our plans. But, so I want to make sure, like we were talking about last time, master plan lines up, our housing production plan lines up with what we do. Our right pet plan is very important too, so I'll be included that, so I have more of a final answer. But I'm almost certain that this is a group that we accept.
If input,
We're not solving all these problems.
No, but it's
changing the zone
important.
on here,
Yeah,
but I think we just need to have that.
absolutely.
I should say, the other thing to agree with is that you don't have to do training. So it's very good connectivity down there as opposed to building around.
So you want
Yeah,
to,
so I think it's-
so maybe,
So you don't always have to walk to the train station, like you might get walk right out the first bridge.
Yeah, and we've got bus stops all along here.
Exactly.
So we can work it up there, so. Let's get a little bit more walk information, but it's here, so.
so maybe we should look at this area kind of here, and maybe include this as well as part of that district.
Yeah, what Matt was talking about in the last meeting. That gave your vision wrong or your feedback wrong. But I think the idea of having a zone that kind of straddles this area,
Yeah.
potentially increased density, whether it be through this exercise or a different exercise, might be a good place if we're thinking about modern spots where additional density might be coming in and out. Because you've got the connection with the bus, you've got proximity, which it sounds like we probably need to work on a little bit better. Connected roads, but to the commuter rail stop, both to Wakefield and in Melrose. So if we kind of think of like a logical spot that where we don't have a lot of density, where we could theoretically up zone to a point where it's not like gigantic towers, but something that's a little bit heavier. I think this is a really good opportunity now, from what my perspective. And I'm interested if other people disagree or push back on each other.
I think that would be a logical extension. So are you talking about straddling the street or just the track area?
I'm thinking like the tracking area, and Main Street as it comes down.
More Main
Both
Street than
sides.
the actual track stuff,
No, I was thinking both sides of it,
Okay.
honestly, right?
like in between, 'cause this is a track right here.
I mean, maybe
Yeah.
we're okay with it.
Oh, and then the track looks like that. So like this area, so.
Yeah, mixed use. So if we had any subdivision. Maybe we don't. Yeah. We have any sort of vision for that area, try to have mixed use on Main Street. Then straddling that with
Yeah.
this. I think I was more envisioning straddling the tracks
Okay.
and then leaving Main Street. What the front of that Main Street.
I think finding a way to, that's probably a better way to put the vision. I think that Main Street is a great corridor for some sort of for business use because you want to create a place of actual gather and focus. But I guess the question is how far out does it, that, in case your business as a primary concern to fall? I don't know, that's a kind of open question, I don't. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
your
business is a primary use, mixed use.
This. Why?
Is there?
Some communities have said, say, well, by right, you do three. If you do mixed use, you could do story, you know, but the problem is, and you're kind of density. Would be bad.
And there's not really any other.
No, I think probably
You could theoretically.
It's not that we require.
no, same problem. I think the way to deal with it is to carve out here. You could have, you know, it's harder. Except that it's in the middle, it's not. Exactly. You're right. Not extending home to go.
Well, I would argue Aldi wants to be excluded in whole.
Yeah. Like, and you can see that here as well. But not.
Honestly, like the mixed use overlay that we have right now. That's kind of the conversation we have around regionalization. Focus, you know, the center of it, right? Not really this exercise.
Can I ask one, are we thinking about this because we noticed it, or because we want that instead? Meet the state's requirement here. Done, so that, this is still a planning project, think about that, it's not this plan. That's target. Now,
It's starting out, yeah, I was thinking of this as an equity, not. Literally putting it around the station. So it's not as dense, but actually as. Not a station, but,
Right. And in fact, that is one of the options. We don't need to have 15 years. Everywhere. You could imagine this going up a little bit to get to 10 years. And then this higher. And back. Or you could go. You're not. And it's there. This is more of a.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of already developed.
Well, for housing. Like general.
Yeah,
Trying to
pull it
think.
up.
I was trying to remember.
That's the business.
No, I know.
Limited. Yeah.
Only reason we said, oh, wait.
Just off the top of my head, I've been so concentrated on a single family.
Permanent uses are those that would serve,
A good reason, right?
I feel like Melrose is dense and, you know, they have Porch Fest and like,
Almost requiring.
Can you require it in this district if it's not requiring it? It's your big zoning.
All right, you gotta, that's the difference is. Permit, you can say, well,
I want it.
maybe one of the portion, maybe each of them doesn't need it. But if you're saying, this is my right, this is how you build. You have a fair amount of control. Like, the only place, if possible, someone might have something challenge. Look, horses cost a fortune, they add nothing to the value. I don't think similar to saying stuff like, no parking in the front, and the front stairs. Not developers don't always love it, but it makes for better design.
Right.
And so you can require it. And that's actually kind of the stuff you're gonna need to think about. Right. That's a big blank check for giving something. You really want to be sure what you're going to do. Focus on density, but there's quite a lot around. Crazy about this design guide. But it is one of those.
I would. COVID. Getting out, maybe some fresh air. Yeah.
I know, I think it's in buildings.
Yeah, most of the bigger ones actually do that. Smaller ones that are jammed. This is not-
Yeah, I would really like to. I know we're not at that point, but.
Yeah, but it's fine. The upshot of this whole approach is the state is sort of on board with this review process. That if we simply allow it by right, tell us how to build it and we'll build it. And I'm not sure that's entirely. There are a lot of
Still have
reasons.
That's all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of reasons that developers have a problem. One part of it is the but that's the approach. Check it out, say what's about.
A few times does make a difference, increases the area of entry substantially.
That's the one. And especially for small things. That's the one thing that you have to. Yeah, take a year.
Yeah.
Right.
Most people don't have those kind of parents.
That's the thing, right? Is you just can't carry that.
So for us to move forward on this whole area here, what is density? Greenwood, and then we'll move on to the Wakefield station. area. We'll move to Stockton. Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking like three. That range, three and a half stories. So you have you have a lot of the buildings where they come up. This is not zoning right now, it's 2.5 stories, where it's basically like an half story, but that's bench cable.
Height is that.
Oh, right.
Story is more. Yeah. So like 2.5 stories. Might be something like that.
Yeah, you're thinking three stories and then, yeah, and then four. Yeah.
If we're talking about, I don't know if that, we're saying different things, but I'm saying that you have like 3 floor, 3, and then you have the ability to have, because I feel like a lot of the houses, Wakefield have that. If you're trying to put it.
Yeah, but if you don't.
That's the more bigger challenge. And if you wanted to 2.5 stories, they look cute and fit in. But to a 3-family, 2.5 stories. Unless you do like a sort of, 2.5 stories.
That's why I was saying like 3 stories. So if you go back to like where we were looking at that chestnut, it's flat.
It doesn't look.
And I think where.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
one
one-
is that you had that building with a tip shop. more consistent with. a lot of
What
our
was that address again?
It's higher, but I think architecture.
I'm gonna pull it up. I just can't recall the
I
address.
think that's closer than what we.
49A.
Very,
That's basically that.
Somebody lives there and they're home watching this.
I know, it's hard.
right?
Um,
Really
here we
not
go.
materially fixed, right? It's really. Was.
It was, but now it's.
So it's really, it's a,
That's like a
three
redemption.
bedroom with a big problem.
Yeah.
So look up on the Seymour dates up there.
So this was a tear down?
No.
That's what it looked like before.
That was a 2.5 story.
2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they just picked it.
I think they only picked, if you go to that side, they only picked up the front. Plus 3 stories. Back.
Other side. Oh, sorry.
You got that.
Back down. Sorry.
But
It's okay. But yeah,
on
it's,
equal sides, so it's
yeah.
gotta be a jigsaw puzzle. Each are exact.
But I guess the question is, right, so if we're thinking, you know, you budgeting, you wanna have 3 family, right? One more mile, to your point, 3 stories, you kind of potentially encouraging. 3-story building, something like flat roof or some sort of kind of fake flat roof, a fake pitch roof like this building. Or would you rather have them come up 3 stories and then you allow pitch on top? That's kind of the root
Right.
question.
I mean, I think you can get the models that can, even things like this.
Yeah.
2.5, even though it's got dormers and stuff.
Yeah.
The model will kick out that as a brickhead. Yeah.
To be honest, I'm actually less worried about the model. I'm more curious about what we want as a
Yeah.
community, right? Because I think there's a difference, right? But it's just a matter of what we think is more appropriate for that scale for that neighborhood.
I mean, I do think 3.5, that's the point.
That's a half story right there. That adds. Isn't it a floor? So the height is, I know you're saying half. Full height. Especially if you're building, if they choose to go to. If they're trying to fit 3 families into 2.5 story building, then yeah, that's kind of, but if they're developers building 2.5 stories, they.
Towards the train.
Towards the train, that bluebird is looking up the different floor houses. Oh, it is blue, wow, they have that here recently, all right, so that. Yeah, that's the same 2 units, but what's that? Right, so, but, you know, if you talk to the window in the Gambrel, that's a. I walked by it this evening and so they just resized it, but where the pine tree is, it's missing, it's missing. Spent all that money and that.
So yeah, I guess it just depends on what.
It's hard to.
And there's a
find large.
gambrel with dormers, so you know, it is.
Oh,
Right.
I was like, what are you talking?
If you go half a block, the guy put on Riverstone.
Oh, yeah.
Who's supposed to enforce that? It's like, I mean, it's over.
But I think you can do 2.5 stories and you have some language in there about how much of that house can be dormers. You know, that allows a nice mix of house types.
Mm.
Because either you're building, maybe you got a bigger lot, you're building a bigger thing where there's a couple, something back and 2 front. Or you do have the classic, one on each story, but that. Small.
That's the start of
Yeah.
the classic start of.
But if your worry is, if you say only 2.5, then you have like an unusable path. And if you say 3, everything's now 3 flat.
Well, that's why I was thinking, yeah, 3.5, because you have the 3 fully usable, and then you have the have to make them close, because that's what I'm afraid of is that, say, we make it, I think, if I'm a developer, right? You're going to build it from scratch, I'm building a flat roof, so I need maximize that square footage on the.
Well, I'm in some level supposed to be here advocating for more housing is good, right?
Yeah.
But I actually think when I look at these neighborhoods, it seems like they are 2 to 2.5. 3s are the maxes. I don't think it's inappropriate to say, well, we want to fill it in, but we want to fill it with 2.5. 2.5 dormers, but not 3.5 is, those will look like the new Belgium.
So that's what I was going to say too, especially in this area, because I know we have to work on getting the density higher. Instead of talking about the Greenwood. Higher. Downtown area.
Yes. The average.
So you have in this area, it's a little bit, but I don't.
Yeah.
It's not maybe 3.5 or 4, whatever.
Maybe you make it so 3, 1, and 4, and the large, the other.
3.
Because you're not going to go like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you, yeah, even on like this.
I just pulled up Myrtle Ave. So this is still the Greenwood area. I just put Myrtle Ave.
Were those all Greenway area before?
No, that was more the Wakefield station area. So,
If you go.
yeah, what way should I
up
go?
the hill,
So go north.
Yeah, and then all along the tracks from there up to.
So this track, yeah.
Good sized lots all along there.
Oh, okay.
There's no sign.
Yeah, but as you see here, so this goes all the way straight down. Greenwood Station, but you probably want to know. So everything to the right here, along the tracks.
And that's too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sidewalk.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a very common theme.
Yeah.
That's not boring for us. It's good for us. You take your time.
Yeah.
Right next to the side path.
Yeah, a little path. Yeah, we have those.
You made it 3, then maybe it's more consistent with.
So yeah, here's the
Current
train
local
from the end.
environment, yeah, relates to what the massing looks like along, not really disturbing.
So is this the area we're kind of talking about, Julie, about the
Right, well, yeah,
connections?
That's a 3.5, right?
Yeah. It's also mixed use.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it brings you
It's
to,
not so bad. There's stuff. We just did all the complete street.
yeah,
But this is also where we lost that, right?
yeah, that I was just showing how, yeah.
Right.
Let's stay on this side of the tracks.
Oh, I realized I wasn't sharing my screen, sorry.
Next one question is there 100%, I'm 100% here, right? Does it make sense where that district along here, does it make sense where we have, basically Green Street? Yeah. So does it make sense where if we're going this way on the tracks, it also makes sense to look at something like green, we could have kind of a similar, you have kind of two zones, right? We have a gap on what the lots are being, then we're looking at.
See, there's lots or less buildable.
Yeah,
Doesn't
that's,
look bigger, but
Yeah.
Right across here, you got all these lots.
yeah.
What are they at?
yeah, here's,
Some are multifamily that
They're
are backed up
they're
a
literally
lot.
built into the ledge.
Yeah.
cases.
They carved out. Put some condos in.
So in terms of actually building housing.
Yeah, but so I'm talking about, we see that,
This is Green Street.
this is the development the planning board did, right? You were on this, right, Matt, this one?
I was not on, when that started, it was on.
Oh, that.
And
that
did.
cul-de-sac there.
Oh, I didn't know, I knew you had some, yes.
And how do people feel about that?
I live across the street. It was a tough sell. They blasted that.
I mean, yeah, the house is back right up to the ledge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Density. 8% slope. It all comes down to the bottom where that big retaining wall dumps, right? But it's the bottom. No, it goes into the system.
so all of these are two family. Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron, if you go back down, now on the full site on feature itself.
Yep,
Because I'm trying to remember, is it, do you have the side that's to the left, right?
Yeah.
The gates, but on the other side of it though, I guess. Yeah, well, I guess you still have some sidewalk there too, so maybe you still have some.
here's that
There's
intersection.
sidewalk all the way on the east side.
Yeah.
All the way up.
Then the question is that if you could build a multifamily as of right on, the eastern side of Green, is that something that would be next to the group? Or is that the thing that would be a little far afield?
I don't think you're getting far afield. So, maybe where you are is if you only go out. Across the street.
Well, I think you probably allow on the other side of the street, just the same kind of approval. That's the shed.
Why would you do it?
So that's what I mean.
We can play around with it. So would this house technically be a 2.5?
Oh, looks like a tall,
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like a tall, you have,
that too. The other thing is, I mean, that's where max height comes in.
yeah, that was gonna say the height.
Right. And you can throw that in. That's what's nice. Yes, by right, but you can add. Redundant. Yeah. That-
Right there, that is your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what- yeah, yeah. Think like a half story on. You're just adding. Square footage to the home. You're gonna have something, not really having a unit. You're able to work.
They're probably gonna they're either gonna make it, like, access.
Yeah, that would be like the owner's unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. exactly.
Or you're hiding.
Into that.
So if you go, like, you're coming out taking a left, what's that building next to the?
Other way?
No, that's straight. What's that building, what's that, is that 3.5? That's certain. Oh,
Oh, here.
Parking under.
There's a side view. But it's still 3 stories.
Yeah, that half is really.
Just a,
Well,
But it's just.
that is
It's also
can't
built into the hill, trying to hide some of the.
all right. And this whole side of Main Street is mainly residential until you get to that intersection. Yeah, down that way, right? And I think that's what zone business down.
On the, to the right, you've got a lot of big. Older condominium developments behind all of these.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It doesn't look like it here, but.
Sorry, but that's close.
Hmm, that's true. All right. So do you think we have enough to play with?
I think so.
Okay.
It sounds like somewhere in this 2.5 to 3 stories. We don't want to. That's why.
Honestly, I mean, I think it's just a matter of, I think. Unfortunately, the density built up there because the residential piece. That neighborhood, so, but it ends up being all 3 flats.
Well, that's fine,
2.5.
right? So it's still
Right, remember, anything could be, you get a question more height.
I'm going for a special permit, I'm not going for a usable fish. I'm going for actual.
I think you can get sort of, the density, you have to be you have pretty generous setbacks. If you want more density, one off, go up. The lots are pretty big, 8,000 square foot lot.
And we're not talking about like a 3-story Somerville zero lot line type of construction. There's substantial setbacks and substantial open space requirements.
But an 8,000 square foot lot, general setbacks, big yard, front and back, still gives you a few thousand square feet. Like we do 2 stories of that. You already have more. They're sort of matching particularly about 2,000 square feet. So you have just even just a little over 1,000 square feet of footprint times 2.5, you're getting up towards 3 units. I mean, and that's, a seventh of a lot.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I personally think that the lot size I would advocate for us to think about would be closer to like a 4,000 square foot minimum to be in alignment with overall mixed use overlay. Yeah, I don't know, you've probably seen it more, but like, do you feel like that's an appropriate size for the different projects that we come across?
Since it may be more. Seems like we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this area,
Yeah.
I think, I guess the overall comment in this area. was more density. So. I guess I would agree that maybe going down lot size. Might be, so. That's not about for that. Definitely.
Yeah. I think kind of as we're going through this, right, I think we might be talking about almost two zoning there. You know, like, there's one mixed use overlay district, but it's almost like it's 2 in some respects. In terms of what we're talking about, right? It's almost like an A and a B.
When you get to downtown. Wilson Station. And through.
Yeah.
Run, you go down.
Yeah, because there's probably a gap between, if we have a higher density that we're talking about, and we'll have our general residences, right? So there's probably almost a step between. You've got like a higher tier, a higher density, medium density, and the additional low density from our existing base.
That's what my thought process was when we all started before the neighborhood areas, like having that really dense area that we have now, and we put out a density bonus, that makes you on boundary, because we don't want to, we do have, I think, pretty small, so we could have had some sort of retail. But maybe these new developments, and like, we need to pick one, and having a density bonus for them, for instance, but in that area.
Start with something pretty easy to walk.
Yeah.
And when we tried this out before, 5,000 square feet, almost all the lots.
You're talking about in the Greenwood area or Wakefield Junction?
Actually, in both,
Okay.
5,000, most of them have. Yeah, that's. Agree with their makers,
Yeah.
more. You get down to, if you get up to requirements, say 7,000 or 8,000, more of your lots fall out. Not gonna build it. Neither does. Too many are buildables, so that's already high, right? That's. Yeah, and then the thing you can't play with is you have the lots you have.
Yeah.
And that's a sort of silly. Literally say, oh, my slate, what's the reasonable lot size, but they know no one's subdividing in lots.
Yeah, a lot of it is kind of, unless you're someone who's gonna assemble a couple in a row and that.
But kind of imagine it, you said it at 8,000, 6,000, next another 6.
Right, they combine and they still have 12.
Yeah, plus there's someone living in that one, and I own this one, and yeah, it doesn't work. So they kind of want to see great. Oh, no, you get a fair number of hits, especially if you're saying we're only with it. If you're with 4 family, 5 family, 6 family, then you start saying. Lots.
So we spent a lot of time on Greenwood. Do people feel comfortable where we are in terms of that? Because I want to make sure we have enough time on it. So if we're talking about Wakefield Junction, right? So this is one where I think it sounds like there's a lot more, I would say, concern to make sure we're making the response. We don't want to impact the potential of having some of our kind of commercially oriented or converted to different housing close by, right? So if we're looking at kind of around this Wakefield Junction area, from my perspective, and I'll just draw something that, in terms of the spots that I thought made a lot of sense. Welcome. Thank you. You know, I think that, so if you have Albion right here, I would advocate that we stay away from Albion, the lots fronting Albion. I would argue that we should concentrate on the lots kind of up this area, north of Galvin, kind of between Albion and Lake. And then to Matt's earlier point, kind of a big chunk of this residential, that's Emerson. Yeah, Emerson, along with train tracks all here. I think if you look at those 3 kind of corridors right there, I think there's an opportunity where you can have kind of a couple clusters that are set back off of our main drags. Potentially, we go up to, 4 stories. So you're looking at like that Chestnut building with an extra floor on it, which some of this is already built up to the point where that may be higher than the existing, but it's not drastically. And then you're staying away from like this foundry area, which I think we really are earmarked as a town is almost like a more intense usage. But you're still upzoning some of these areas, especially this area. I feel like that is to the west of the train tracks. I feel like that is a spot I think is right for it. And then to Matt's point, maybe there's some sort of transition zone off of that. They'll probably have there again have a hill condition. But I think maybe down the hill, kind of in some of that area that's a little I feel like more packed right now. Some of the there's a lot of multis in there. Cool. Yep.
What's the rule for some of the distance 70% of your? Just to
Yeah, it was
discuss
a
that.
difference in town, I think, 60 or 70%. But that was within a half mile of the station.
You want to go pull up the half mile?
Yep.
That's really, yeah, over here. you're gonna meet it. And then that's really only that percentage of your 35 acre minimum. You need to have at least 35 acres.
Let me pull up the resident.
Oh, 70% of, or your 35 acre minimum needs to be there.
But if we have, even if we took those three areas, if we took all of those, that's A, I think a lot less than the half mile. B, we still have legal to deal with still.
Are on the edge of the school. This is our budget. Yeah, very on the street. So is there a reason to consider that as something that except for the maybe not dense area?
Yeah.
What's that?
The one that's on construction
It's
right
not
now.
on the mosquitoes. No, that one's right on the border.
Terrence,
Well,
something,
there's-
very, very far.
I don't know, but I mean, there's just like, you know,
Terrence.
on either side of the gas station, this whole barriers now. Right behind it is, yeah.
Even if it's not going towards our minimums for like the half
Didn't
mile.
Lexington just approve way over what?
Well, that's part of it is to recognize what does the town want to focus on development. So some people like too much, you know, really big stuff downtown saying, well, you know, too already been built, and other ones in the process of like. I think, to be honest. And it's right off the highway, there's a lot of advantages for people finding side there. No problem.
That's my rationale for optional number of tracks. That's, other neighbors to the tracks. Almost do that along 128 also.
Hmm.
Track road. There's lots along-
Is that basic? Is that basic?
basically track road here. Again, it's not. It's not really connected, but. Hopefully it is. They're also working.
Oh, man.
That's the shuttle.
Is required at least. Start that. Connected for MBTA purposes or getting credit for anything.
Honestly, that we're passing this multi-family overlay district, there's other spots in town that we think make sense. I mean, why not just do it now instead of having to do a whole separate effort?
Then what we're talking about, like, after the town meeting about it.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about like, if there's other spots that make sense, we can just tack on to this. I think if anything, it's gonna make it so easier to get passed and it's easier to have a conversation about. We took this opportunity to be more thoughtful about it, to do what the minimum. Anything that's good for your.
There. Yeah, yes, I'm wrong with that.
Town, yeah.
Yeah.
Another
I
part.
think every-
Schools.
Yeah, every part of this, of our town. We just need to be able to actually fix it, there's a problem.
I mean, I think we would still want to make sure the state was certifying the part. Just so you don't have their hands tied on everywhere.
That way we don't have it, have other sections monkeying around with density.
That's what I don't want you to do. We did pass this, we did pass it. And then 2 years later, you say, oh, we want to tweak that. I don't want the state to tell you, like, no, we certified
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the thing, is it's a little bit, where there's, you know, when you do any kind of, like, new, bylaw, you need to get it approved by the Attorney General.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that process is gonna be even more burdensome now. All right, so, because there's gonna be always this question of, you change some of the thing over your zoning, you know, parking can no longer be in the front yard. Oh, wait, how does that affect the lot you?
Yeah.
And so it's why these overlays are gonna be real nice, just make them overlays that don't, you know, it's almost like you sniffed it out, maybe.
This is not getting too dark though.
Or whatever. that,
Yeah. it's
Change.
all recorded now.
Simple majority for zoning changes that allow more housing. Yeah, because they wanted,
I know,
to
and
make-
I want to make it
yeah.
easier.
Yeah, but they didn't want to make it easier for all changes.
But I think that's worth us having a
Yeah.
conversation
Great,
as
great
we
to
look
hear
at some of our districts of the Salem Street area. And I'm sorry, I was on my, what was the other area?
Essentially, yeah, basically.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
REI.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Lake, and you.
I had no idea. I looked
We're doing
through.
it ready? There's one back there. I was certainly the other way around.
I see that.
Well, yeah, that isn't ready, but you have to go by there and then you go back.
Back there, yeah, it's like the line right there.
That's it.
And I don't tell you.
Is there anything like over by Tarrant Lane or that side? Like the brand new. Oh, did they go to Coast properties?
Yeah.
I just don't know, like, there might be little pieces in there that
This
would.
section right in here is. It's all, it's actually all.
Is it? Okay.
More.
Does it make sense, I guess it's kind of east, maybe some of that, this is back three, MBTA service, but is there opportunity, basically, if we were talking about around where Wakefield Junction goes, kind of driving these neighborhoods right behind, yeah, where the Elks, that whole area, before, between Wakefield Junction and where they're doing all those 40Bs.
What would be?
Well, wasn't a 40B before?
Oh, I thought it said it
The also not. They just shot down.
No, that's what it's, yeah, special.
That's interesting, 'cause I do feel like there's connectivity there.
Yeah.
I get to work, but
Yeah.
We've
actually by very bus.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, there's
you
also,
said block
there's a
it
long-term
right
vision there, I feel like, right?
And the loop will go, I mean, we do get a micro transit, it will definitely run that.
I mean, nope.
With side streets. I would
We're
think
also
it's
like
like,
beginning to rent it right
Oh, that's great.
yeah,
I mean, honestly, get a productive bike lane that goes right to Wakefield Junction, that it almost makes that connectivity significantly better just from a.
just so me and Ezra have some homework. Sorry, I think this is all really great stuff though. Between the train station and as much as we're trying to do a lot of the far, the highway, but it's been on and off the highway. Yeah, cause more congestion in town, but I think for Ezra and I to look at the Wakefield station area, just so I understand, so we understand this Armory, Westwater, this area here. This area here, now what are we looking for density? in the areas, are they all the same or differently?
I argue for these three areas right here, I argue for maybe where we think about 4 max stories. I don't know, I mean, like, we were talking about 3 down in Greenwood, I don't know if you think 4 is inappropriate for that area or not, but.
There's nothing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's technically considered marks.
Why? Could be.
We get to be over 50.
concern is, again, all about more housing. I don't know, I could roll them out. I would say one or two areas, but closer to the train, I would bet like.
So that's fine.
Just tunnel storage.
And I feel like that's a big difference between.
Yeah. It feels-
Well, I
I
think
mean,
we
you
should also,
step down from that, but like if you start to need it, I think people.
You can always go up.
Yeah.
Go back down.
This kind of give us a good mix of like 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 1 bedroom, like I want to make sure there's like different size housing.
It has to be suitable for families, which can mean so many different
Yeah,
things.
but like a 3-family with like, yeah, 3 versus 4 families.
Yeah, there's a kind of that's in a lot of stuff. Say, couldn't make units applications on it. You guys have one affordable housing, they can't regulate the things from the square footage of that unit. It was subsequently interpreted by people saying you can't say that. Like, it actually saying you can't be small, but I believe under 40, where it still says, you can't really strict what's inside. Building code, we talked about. You can start saying things like per bedroom, parking. One of the reasons it's complicated about deciding what is family. We can make a 15 bedroom.
Well, I was actually looking at this. What about like cooperative living? Any of this?
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. So
Yeah, it's a road.
you're
Just
allowed,
above a hotel.
all of those are, they're great things to do in
They're
terms
not
of their
part of
houses, but they're not going to be, they don't see 3-family, 4-family. Multi-family.
so I guess if we're thinking that three stories for both, right, from a height perspective, have maintained them.
To point it out to, if you're talking about stories. This is a 5-story, and the other one is 6, so 4 stories is lower. than
Yeah.
this.
It's true.
And this is in there.
Grayson is
Yeah,
6.
so that's how it
I
tracks.
think
It wasn't 5 before.
I think,
Well, it's
I think, I don't know, I think. the
So
thing
Ezra,
is that It's not just the height. it's the-
So the tracks is right here to your right,
Yeah, got it.
and then the other one, you can kind of see it poking over the, yeah. But the Wakefield,
It would be taller, but I don't know if it necessarily change the character.
But then-
in a way unless there's like a
Then
weight,
that call for
but
like
I don't know.
The
4
lots are
here,
tiny,
3
too.
here.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Or you can allow-
See, that's what I was thinking.
Right.
Do that.
Okay, yeah.
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 Yeah. You don't need to give up
Yeah,
all
3
your.
if we, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, some of that's what you need about. Let's say 3 and 4. You know, and then not gonna even involve, oh, it's mixed use, then you get.
I guess
That's
it's
3.5, isn't it?
yeah, I was just looking to see what this was. Is that technically
Is that's a-
basement? Yeah.
That's technically 3. Oh, no,
Well,
that's
it's
technically
4 levels,
Yeah.
but it's 3.5 off the.
Yeah.
On the side, the windows don't light up. Then it's
Oh.
gonna stairwell.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, now we're back onto Chestnut, but I was just curious. So sorry, where were you saying the 3 and
We
then,
were saying you do 3 by right.
Yeah.
Could at that point, we do.
Yeah.
By right 3, but if you want to go to 4, then.
I like that too.
That's better.
And you're allowed even to say, you're allowed to require the portability even with the by right stuff, but no.
Oh, we are.
Well, I don't think they're gonna allow you to still have an affordable requirement on a 3 or a 4 bed.
Yeah, you probably.
It's gonna have to get threshold, yeah, yes.
But that would be right, exactly the same as part of special. What? More story, we want use, we want food generation, we want some parking, what is it? More useful as a space for the neighborhood, all those kinds of things.
I think the question that we have to think about is, you can do 3 by right, you go to 4 stories. Unless you're getting like a number of parcels together, which components do we want? Because like if you go and you add affordability and some of the other requirements, that you're gonna make it so no one's gonna utilize the options.
Or is it and or, like, or vertical, or this?
That's-
or that?
That's my point.
There's incentives of different.
It's also saying, you can only do the 4-story by special permit on a 10,000 square foot lot. Yeah, 20,000. Yeah, it's not gonna be
Yeah,
someone who's building
4,000 square foot lot.
there on the middle of the street
Yeah,
and suddenly says, oh, but I want 4 stories.
And in those areas too, there's probably not a lot of extra. I'm not gonna ask for mixed.
Right, what do you want? Yeah, right.
the only thing you really want is you want affordable.
Although it looks like we'll be able to talk about this. All the frontage. Main
And north.
and outlets.
That's why,
So they would go through your process.
The north
and
is
you-
only one, it's only got development on one side, they have.
Right.
When it's 40
That's
units and more, it has to be
right.
percentage.
but I think if you kept in that, in those, in this area that we're talking about, and if we add this to it, I think if you go with 3 stories, like 4 units. Because we were talking about 3 and 3 for Greenwood, right?
Oh, we got rid of that.
We're playing with bricks, so nothing's gonna happen today. That's
Yeah.
what we're
Okay,
that's all.
No. But yeah, if you have that zone right there, maybe you go 3 height, 4 unit. That might not be worst. And then you have,
Well, I agree with that. Oh, okay.
I don't know, just do people feel comfortable with that?
Well-
I threw it out there just as a.
When I did, I thought we talked through this, I mapped actually. this area, and I kind of just stayed on the line of the general residence, and so I actually got into this area here and stayed on this. I can't remember if I met the requirements, I think I was short. I'll have to go back and look, but I have done this area, I didn't do this, but I included this whole area. This whole area here, stayed along these parts of these zone lines, so you can actually all the.
I would say the one thing I would definitely strongly encourage is think about more doing this is unless there's a specific reason.
Oh, yeah,
So
no,
we
we
do
had
it
that,
really
yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Can we just go into like the street, center line?
Yeah, that's why we can't do it, yeah.
Yeah, with the exception of how
That's
it's,
smart.
with the exception of the argument that the lots that front the streets that we're worried about, just like literally take those lots.
Yeah. You're gonna kind of fall back.
And the way to basically do the system now is. Seems fine. Yeah, except surveyor. As many go add on, suddenly you're extending the zone.
Right, you're changing the zoning by buying property.
Yeah, and that's what you have to be really careful. It's pretty, so. If it was 100 feet each side of the road. It was pretty easy to measure that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you have to.
Right.
But then
That's just how it's to keep track of it. That's-
Yeah.
it's not, so.
Yeah. So when you get into GIS.
Mm.
And make each of these lots. I always have that. I've seen it. Where combining the lot and suddenly, now the question mark, how the lot. Business. Once merged in GIS, suddenly. That's just how this gets done, there has to be.
It's out there. Yeah. Shape, not.
Yeah, in general, like just going to the center line streets. This is a really good example. Yeah, there's a really good example like right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
Shape.
Yep.
Yeah, this is especially. So, and that's especially the street. Back in view, there are lots of commercial. This. Oh, this is what I should throw back there.
The savings bank.
Oh, yeah.
And they have to come to us to get a map change.
Okay, so I mean, we can't, I'm not sure, so we got lots of.
No.
We do overlay.
Yeah.
yeah, the whole maps need to change the whole other conversation that we hopefully will be having sometime in the future. Before, yeah.
That, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We're running up against time, so I just wanted to also to make sure we give you guys good direction. We have these two other spots that we're talking about. We have thoughts in terms of what those want, what would those be matching, kind of 3 stories, and then with 3 units, 4 units, somewhere, you know. What do we think would be appropriate in terms of that Salem Street corridor and this kind of I-93 corridor?
I would, it sounded like people were saying they wanted to include it.
Oh,
Thing, I was saying, like, 8 for certification,
Yeah.
we probably keep that.
okay, that's
Whether
what
my
you're
job
saying.
is to help.
Yeah, we wanted to do the overlay
All
on.
your things.
Right, there's not have that.
That wouldn't be part of the overlay, that would be separate.
Maybe just leave it like-
But something we should work, as
I
we
mean,
know,
you can
talk
use
about
the
like,
same over like 91.
yeah, but keep it as. easy than we do it once.
Yeah, that's kind of where my thought is. We're
So
gonna
yeah,
do
it's
it.
like we could put them both through, but this one would be the MBTA community overlay, this one would be like multifamily. That's weird. That's
No, I'm thinking that you submit it all as one overlay. It's part of like the Wakefield zoning bylaw, because then when you submit to the state, you're submitting it on the basis of the. For the.
Well, I think we need to find a state. Future,
yeah, that's my.
to understand their, the
Yeah.
extent of their,
Yeah,
I want
If we have to,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
You want to get a minimum median.
Yes.
And I think one other thing we need. We're gonna be increasing the value. People are not getting value out of this. If you live in a large lot. Something about your lot, that lot. It's big. Yeah. No, just that, not, I don't think the assessed value of the land. They're gonna-
More opportunities, yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just being single.
and that's, you're talking about it just like as a selling or a marketing point for lack of a better term, in terms of why people should be supporting.
Yes, so if someone, oh, you rezone my lot. Well, yeah,
It is a good question about the assessment. People interpret it that.
that won't be.
Yeah.
After you just want to keep that in.
I think that if you put this on there, out of character with what boundaries development needs to be.
No, I would create a different district where allowing more stories.
Yeah, I just don't
That's
know.
why we play around with what we have. Anyways, yes, anything of this, that's true.
And we talked a lot about height. Family or more. than
Yeah.
that. The one worry we might was. Lots of size scale. About 3 families, you get down to lots times 3. Right? Which might be enough in terms of production. The density, if those lots are big, your density wants to be low.
I think when you guys ran it before, you couldn't get there unless we had 4
We might get
units.
4 or
Yeah.
5. That, I mean, as long as the lots are big enough, are you okay with them? I mean, stories.
Allow for,
Yeah, you can better 4 units. We'll try that because we, that density.
Are we talking about for both zones, or are we just talking about for the Wakefield junction?
Yeah, definitely for here.
yeah.
But in my directive, if the building fits on the lot, okay, the setbacks of the open space, it's no more than 2.5 stories. You're not losing sleep. That's generally the sense.
What about the built environment?
Yeah. So we. Right. We wanted an apartment for the 4 units. Yeah. It's have so. Go from 3 to 4. Right. But in terms of the total for the number of people, we got the same because you basically sort of concentrated. 4 families and the density is bigger. It's not. It's all the same.
And that's why I think this is one of the items that we want to talk about. I think that's going to be a major.
I do think the big lots are going to help. The fact that these are not. You might decide how many parking versus an open space. Watch the parking in the front.
Sounds productive.
Yeah, that's maybe on-
Yep, next meeting, oh, June, oh, nope. That's
I just was
August.
looking like, oh,
I was like August, and now I'm doing June on here, just saying May 2nd back here, May 2nd.
Oh. Yeah. In that case, does anyone else have anything else before we? Adjourn? Okay. We'll vote. Julie? Yes, sir. Yeah, okay. There we go. I know, right? It's like, it's so weird when not in the Zoom.
only council meeting live, yes, if you're all live, you don't have to vote.
In that case, everyone in favor of adjourning? Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
It's so weird.
Thank
like,
you.
getting used to the way-
I know.
You share
So you guys at least have been living the.
Yeah, we've been for a little while.
What?
You shared that link about the residency.
Everyone else is gonna be in?
Yes, I did.